Get in line for the dopest girl show. The essence will be holding us down.
Cross the line.
That's the only thing you don't do.
Don't
You can
cross the
skip
line.
it. You can get in line, wait online.
Let's have a good time. Get in line. Free your mind.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, The Essence, right here on the The Essence Show each and every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Thank you for coming back and tuning in each and every Wednesday. You better get in line if you don't, because this is the show right here. And today we have something very much in store for you. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer and their evening so far. The weather's been kind of off, but we're getting through it. And we have a couple of more weeks of summer. I'm hoping that this kind of expands a little bit because I need some more sun, as I always say. But anyway, I have a beautiful panel with me sitting here. And this show is being catered for females and males because it's just going to be a lot to take in. I expect it to be fun, emotional, vulnerable, and transparent. But we're going to start off with a returning guest, which has been something new for me because it's been happening recently on the Diasa Show, which is a great thing. That's why I'm here to create a very safe haven for my individuals that visit me here. But I have a returning guest by the name of Isabel Rojas Lopez, who has been on the show not so long ago to present her book, Parenting from Broken Pieces. And on that show, if you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube, tune in, because we were talking about a new project that you were thinking about putting together, and we actually just finished launching an event that was dealing with about 12 females, all walks of life, dealing with tremendous experiences, and you finally did it at Mount Haven, right here in the Bronx. Welcome to the show once again.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Good,
so happy to
of
be here,
course.
back in my home.
I love that you're here.
Back in my home.
And you're like more collective today, and you're like ready, and I love it.
You actually, the last time it was great being here with you. You made it so
I
easy.
popped the cherry.
Yes, you did. You popped the cherry. You popped the cherry, and I am back. So we had the event. We talked about the last time my book collaboration, She Heals. So I brought my co-authors here today.
Yes.
And yes. And
Beautiful females.
Absolutely.
There's some eye candy for you fellas too watching. All types. So we got you, right?
We got you. So we have 12 women. These women are very special to me. Some of them are family members. Others I've known over 30 years.
Nice.
So we all came together to speak about things that people are not comfortable about.
All right.
So we had our event at Mott Haven. Rosa was amazing for letting us, grace her space. The space was, just the mood in there was just so good.
It's very pretty.
Yes, we felt so comfortable with bringing forth these hard topics to talk about, because you're going to hear from my collaborators about the subjects that they have chosen to speak about, and it's deep.
All right.
It's deep.
So let's do a quick introductory because we have a lot of females here. I've never felt so many female estrogen in my life in one panel, but it feels actually very empowering. So let's start with yourself.
So I am Isabel. I am a mom of a soon-to-be 13-year-old. We spoke about that the last time.
Teenager.
Yes, teenage years. I'm a wife. I live in the Hudson Valley area, originally from the Bronx.
Yes.
And during the day, I am a project manager for my local DA for group violence, gang violence in the Newburgh area. And at night, I am a 3-time author. I am a mom, and
That's a lot.
I am a dreamer.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And let's move on to our next guest.
Hi everyone, I'm
Hi.
Audrey Nazario from Florida. I am a mother of 3, and at my day job, I'm a director of human resources, and I'm also a first-time author on this project with Lisa.
Nice. Okay.
And my name is Alyssa Rivera. I have 2 beautiful teenage sons. I'm originally from the Bronx, but now I live in the Hudson Valley. I was a police officer for many years, and this is my first ever collaboration on a
Nice.
book.
And I know behind the scenes you were speaking about how you do spiritual.
I do spiritual healing
Okay.
and spiritual life coaching.
Oh, I like that. Next.
My name is Lori Greco, and I'm a mother of 4, and I'm a wife. And in the daytime, I do group violence intervention with the National Network for Safe Communities. And I am also a first-time author, and I am a soccer coach also.
Oh, okay. And to my other side, yes, we have more.
My name is Lola Kawasa. I have 2 beautiful children, and I am a supervisor at a hotel.
Oh, nice.
My name is Fabiola Rojas. I'm one of Lisa's cousins.
During the day, I work in operations. And during my free time, I love writing, painting, shoes.
Oh,
Yes, I love the shoes.
shoes. I saw them the minute you walked in. I was like, ooh, love it. And my last and final.
Yes, well, my name is Jasmine Garcia. I am also Lisa's cousin, and I am a branch manager at Popular Bank. I am a mom of 2 beautiful children and a wife.
Wow. So we got a lot of kids going on here.
Yes.
Like the lucky number seems to be 2, but you beat them by 2 more.
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Overachiever.
I see that. All right, so let's talk. So we have She Heals, which is a book, and we're talking about this coming out late September, right?
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to read. And now that I'm actually sitting here with all of you, it's even going to be more personal for me to read, and probably going to be very hard. But we're going to give just a little icebreaker of what everyone has contributed to the book, or like what section is your section, so we kind of know what to look forward to. Again, thank you for being here and just putting yourself out there. My audience is very caring and loving because they're my support system, so you're safe here. And we're also here to bring awareness to the men, females, and children about what's taking place, okay? Do you want to start? Who's ready to start? You want to lead the way? Go ahead.
Sure. So I want to definitely make sure that everyone is aware we have 12 women. 5 of them couldn't be here today, but we definitely will represent for them.
It's a lot of females all
Yes,
together.
it is.
That right there can be a project. You know, different personalities, different schedules.
Yes, it's a lot, but
Yeah.
the goal behind all of this was women empowerment, right? We always talk about empowering women, and are we really doing that? And I think you and I spoke about that the last time.
Right.
So the goal was to let people know that it's okay to talk about things that you have overcome, because your story is not for you to keep. Your story is for you to share, to empower someone else who might be able to, that's going through something, and they might be able to relate to you and feel as if they're not alone.
Right.
So there's the 12 voices in this book. There's stories that they have written about. They're so impactful.
Okay.
Because we see, I want a woman to pick up this book and be like, I see myself in this story, in that story, in that story, and also know how we're healing, right? Because I don't think that we ever fully heal. So the subject that I chose was self-worth.
Okay.
For years, I suffered with issues of insecurity issues. And those traveled with me like a suitcase, like a heavy suitcase, for many decades. And when I became a mom, I really had to take a look at myself and really start to unpack that suitcase. And that was my aha moment. That was my aha
Yeah,
moment.
that and okay. Go ahead. I want to just get everybody in and then we can talk.
So in the book, I am talking about abandonment. And for a long time, I didn't realize that abandonment was affecting me from my childhood to my adulthood, even into my marriage. So for me, I thought it was important not only to deal with those feelings that I was having behind the abandonment issues, but also to talk about how I've been able to work through those and to be a better me by just acknowledging that I had a situation.
Okay. Go ahead.
My contribution to the book is mental health. For a long time, I just like rolled with the punches and figured, life is always chaotic and messy. And I didn't realize that I was suffering from a mental illness, which is bipolar disorder. And I didn't get help for like 20 years. And it affected a lot of things in my life, marriage, I'm divorced now, being a mom, my job, I was a police officer. And, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to get help. And a lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it. So I'm here to just let everybody know that you're not alone and to stop the stigma, because nobody wants to say anything. And right now there's so many police officers killing themselves because they're afraid to reach out. And I know because I've been there. But there's light at the end of this tunnel and we can make it, but we got to come together.
Okay.
So my topic is about sexual abuse and kind of what happens after that. And I think one of the things that I always thought about was once the abuse ended that then I was fine. And as I kind of took that with me into the rest of my life, I realized how much it actually affected everything I did, just the way that I carried myself, the way I thought about relationships, the way that I did so many things in my life, and the way that I saw myself in the world. And so I think having this opportunity to talk about what the journey is like after you survive something really traumatic is really important.
Okay.
Well, I'm speaking of, I'm a child of a survivor of domestic violence. So I'm speaking of how it is to grow up in a household like that, and how it affected me in my relationships later on. So just letting everybody know that it's okay, and you can basically break the cycle.
Okay.
It's important.
My contribution to the book is on the topic of dependency. For a period of time, I auto-medicated and did things to sort of alternate realities that I was dealing with, and I didn't want to really think about them. So I found faith, was able to create a relationship with God, and just being dependent on Him rather depending on any substance or people or friendships, or dependency takes many forms. So I was able to become God dependent and not self-dependent.
Okay.
My topic is probably one of the most controversial topics that anyone can ever speak about, and it's abortion. So with me, I'm just kind of gonna go deep into how my process was. Not really the factor that I did an abortion, but just kind of the emotions that went along with it, and the people that got hurt, and also a life that is no longer here that I actually decided to abort. So it's a little bit more of a what happened from A through Z, and anyone that was along the way with me that got affected with.
Okay. All right, that's heavy. That's heavy, and I feel like even myself can probably relate to all of you in some sense, no matter how simple it may be on my part, but like I saw something in all of you that I was like, oh, okay. So can we just get down to the gritty, and let's talk about each experience before our commercial break? Just be as transparent as you can, but I would like to just know briefly about symptoms or hardships or experiences, or what got you there, or what happened. Isabel?
That's a really good.
Yeah.
You know, it just so many forms when you're talking about self-worth. When you're in that, you know, so many people are afraid to say, I don't like myself. I have, you know, and to give you a little backstory with the whole self-worth, I was a child that was sexually abused at the age of 8. And I think that carrying that little girl throughout my life, carrying that shame and carrying that hurt, I never knew how to fully let go of her. And I made a lot of horrible decisions, career-wise, family-wise, relationships that I had no business being in, and just self-destructive behaviors. Lots of self-destructive behaviors where may not have been for someone like a dependence or anything like that, but things that I did to myself because I didn't find myself worthy enough at the time. And I just continued to, I need to do this and I need to do that, right? I need to get this title and I need to get this degree and I need to do all these things, and not really giving myself permission to celebrate those accomplishments that I work hard for, because the shame really took over for many years. So learning how to navigate through that journey and be a woman in my foundation today and being proud of myself took a lot of tears and a lot of crying to match the outside now. A lot.
So for me, the abandonment was at the age of between the ages of 11 and 12, when my mom left me with my father for him to raise me. And as you know, being a young girl at that age, it's very hard to navigate life without your mom. So for me, I didn't realize at the time, like, abandonment wouldn't have been a word that I used when I was 12. And I as an adult realized that being abandoned as my mom made me be this controlling wife and this mother that just wanted to shelter my husband and shelter my kids, and that was my whole entire life was about being a mom and being a wife, and I lost sight of who I was. And I became this pretender. So writing this book allowed me to no longer pretend and for me to really dive into how abandonment is really serious. And it may not be as traumatic as some other things, but to go through marriage and childbirth and graduations from college without your mom is really hard.
All right, so I could imagine not having your mom as a best friend, because if you don't have your mom as one of your best friends, who do you have? Onto your story.
For me, it started when I was like 15 or 16. I always knew that the world was so vivid and in color to me, and everything touched me so deeply. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm just sensitive. But I didn't realize that my emotions were all over the place. And I figured, oh, it's just me being a teen, this and that. But as an adult, looking at the face of what I was going through, I had to stop and question my actions. And it hit me when I had like a really bad depression, and I went into a mental hospital, and they told me, well, you have bipolar disorder. And I was devastated, because now I have a label, and now I'm not the wife I thought I was. I'm not the mom. I'm not the cop. Now I'm just this broken woman with bipolar disorder, and I don't know what to do. You know, my coping mechanisms obviously weren't working because it took me to that place. Right. So my self-discovery, my journey to heal from that was, I had to like literally like kill the image of who I was and be reborn again into something completely different. And I had to forgive others for not being there for me when stuff happened. And I also had to forgive myself for my behaviors to other people, because we never forgive ourselves. It's so easy to say, I forgive you for, you know, but did you, you know, you have to forgive yourself for hurting somebody else. That's also part of healing.
Okay.
So, being a victim of abuse, sexual abuse by my father, from my earliest memories, was something that kind of, I think, put me into a survival mode. So I spent so much of my life surviving. And when I was 15 and he was gone finally, I think the two worlds that I was living kind of collided, because I was the one person who lived with this violence and sexual abuse, and then the person that faced the outside world, because you don't talk about that stuff. You don't go to school and chat about it. Right. And so when it ended and I started to grow up and have my own life, it kind of all crashed together, and I started to just kind of keep running, I think is really what it came down to. Run from my family, move far away, kind of create a different life, but it wasn't really my life. It was just the life that I felt like I should have, and there wasn't necessarily joy in it, and I didn't have the people that I loved because I thought that having them around me would be too painful. Right. And so the process for me just kind of made me realize that you can not outrun those things, no matter how far you go or how fast you run or who you bring into your life. Those things are going to follow you.
Okay. So we have self-worth, abandonment, mental issue or illness, and sexual abuse.
Yes.
All right. We're going to stop right there. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching the D. Essence Show right here. We'll be right back. We'll continue with our other guests. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Good.
I'm here to talk about how with technology you can make amazing worlds. Come with me. My team and I bring the Halo world to life.
Is that you?
That is me. I wasn't a math genius and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
What's up, guys? We're back on the D. Essence Show. Thank you for tuning in once again. Before commercial break, we were speaking with the ladies about what they contribute to this beautiful book that's about to be released in late September, She Heals. We have the contributors here with me. There's about 8 of us here, and it's very intense and it's very deep, but it's very honest. I just felt a roller coaster of emotions during break. And just the words and the energy to inspire and empower each other was just very honest behind the scenes. So it's a lot going on here. But I want to thank you guys for sharing, of course. Before we went to break, we were speaking about self-worth, abandonment, mental illness, and sexual abuse. Now we're going to move on to our 3 other guests, and we're going to get into kind of their experience. Lola?
Mm-hmm.
next?
Who's been smiling through the whole thing and fanning herself and making me laugh, which is great because it kind of just breaks the ice.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
I'm usually a quiet
no,
one.
it's fine. So talk to me. Talk to us.
So yes, with me it was growing up in a household where there was domestic violence. My mom was being used as a punching bag, basically, and I was very young. I didn't realize then, you don't know when you're young how much it affects you until you're older. Fast forwarding to my own relationships. Now I'm with someone that I've been with for years. It starts off with little arguments here and there. I had 2 children of my own. I was completely miserable. And I wanted to break the cycle, basically. I was in a relationship where I was unhappy. I didn't even know, like, I didn't want to be around. I was absent, you know? So I had to make a decision. It was either I continue in this relationship or I separate myself and just try to make things better for myself and my children. And that's basically what I had to do, and it was the hardest thing to do because I sacrificed my heart to do that. But it was important for me to do so. I didn't want to be my mom and my dad. I didn't want my kids raised in that environment. So I made a decision to say, you know what? It's me, my children, and that's what's important. And as parents, we're not perfect, but that's something that we're not mindful of. Our kids go through the same things that we go through in life, you know? And I didn't want that for my kids. So I had to make that decision. It was the hardest thing I had to do, but in the long run, I'm extremely happy. Best thing I did for myself.
Okay.
For me, I had a very promiscuous adolescence, so that trickled into when we think about self-medicating, we automatically assume it's prescription.
Right.
But for me, it was alcohol, sex, a lot of bad, self-destructive behavior, self-sabotage. So there was a lot of that, and it created a dependency where I used to just do it every single day, didn't want to really think about the reality of anything, became masking a lot of pain, a lot of resentment, a lot of felt abandoned as well. So it became a constant search to destroy myself. And for me, I had to say, why am I doing this? I had to really come to terms with myself, and it was hard. It was hard to see me in those shoes. I'm a dreamer as well, so I saw my dreams dissipating. When you get high, you high every night, you're really not productive.
Right.
So I became very unproductive.
Right.
I became very disconnected with my family, disconnected with my friends, preferred to be in solitude a lot, just ruminating, and it trickled down to all the other areas in my life, relationships, friendships. So it was hard, but
I have one question for you before we go on to the next. Where was the dependency coming from in your journey? Is there one thing that happened?
Yeah, I think my childhood. I was exposed to pornography very young age as well, so that distorted my mind. My self image of myself as well. And I became to see myself as a sexual being rather than a human being with emotions and dreams and feelings.
Okay, we'll get more back to that. Go ahead.
Wow, that was deep.
Yeah.
For me, when Isabel asked me to do She Heals, I had just started to heal from the abortion because the abortion happened 2015. And I had not healed from it until she asked me to do this year. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I kind of suppressed it the whole entire time. Once I did what I did, I just went back to my life like nothing happened. Like, this is it. This is normal. I don't have to deal with it right now. There were other factors why I did what I did. which it's going to be in the book, so you got to read
Okay.
it. And but I'm going to tell you a little bit. Just the gist of it was really more the emotional issue that I had. I just remember one day, my coworker showed me a picture of a baby that was born dead. And when I saw that picture, I don't know what happened, but just something kind of surfaced. And I started crying so hard. And I'm like, why am I crying? What is going on with me? And I just started remembering. I said, Lord, I cannot believe I gotta heal from this. I didn't know I had to heal from this. It was so deep inside me that it was just not trying to get out of there. And I know that in order for me to really, I think, help other people and kind of just be a testimony for everybody who has done this that they feel so ashamed of, it's okay to raise your hand and say, I had an abortion and I need help. And so I did it because I need help. And I'm still healing. And I'm with my kids, and now I have my son after my abortion. He's going to be 3 years old. I'm super blessed. And my daughter, who's 6. And my husband, who has been such a support system. So really, I'm going to tell you guys more about the support that I had really with my husband more than anyone in my family, including my daughter before my son was born. Even though she didn't know that I had an abortion, she kind of did little things that I feel like were God sent to kind of remind me that it's okay, Mom, you know, we're going to have a little baby brother, you know, and I was super happy about it. And I said, you know what, this is my gift so that I don't feel guilty about what I did. So God gave me my son. And so I have to embrace that and have to share it with the world, I feel. It's like an urge to have to share it.
So that's what brings you guys all together, right? That you have stories and experiences that you kind of ready to release.
Yes.
We talked about your situation and how it is in your marriage now, and you're good. You know, you have your children, you have a loving husband, because you was dealing with sexual abuse from a family member.
A close family friend, yes.
A family friend, right? Now, how does the abandonment bring into your life now? Because abandonment can, you know, you think right away abandonment, oh, somebody left me when I was a child, but abandonment comes from relationships that you have over time. You can be with somebody for a long time and feel abandoned because the person just stopped loving you, or, you know, the goal of the relationship kind of ended. You feel abandoned. You feel abandoned in dating. You feel abandoned by friends. So, like, how are you dealing with that as an adult in your other relations? Are you just always anal and just very, like, do you consider yourself to be very overwhelming, protective? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to?
Like, for me, with my relationships with my friends and my siblings and things like that, I guess I should say with my siblings, I was also a little bit protective. I don't think I became that control person so much with my girlfriend relationships. It was more my husband and my kids. I was like that mama bear. I was gonna make sure that I kept those my husband and my kids close to me. I was not going to let that marriage end, and that was my whole life. I didn't realize until, to be honest, I didn't realize that I still needed to heal. I thought I was okay because, remember, I'm that pretender. I put it all behind me and I was pretending everything was okay.
Well, it's part of being female too. We seem to do that a lot.
And then Lisa invited me to be a part of this project for She Heals, and I thought, wow, okay, what can I talk about? Because there's so many things we experience as women in life, and this is just what jumped out at me. It was now time for me to talk about being that little girl who was left behind and how it affected me and my relationship.
Have you spoken to your mom?
She is now back in my life, and I've had some challenges there because
of course
she was a strong woman. She taught me a lot in the time that I was with her, and I have totally forgiven her. She's a great person. I am just dealing with my feelings and having challenges now, knowing that she's back in my life. And some people don't understand that, but for me, it's a process, and I'm not rushing it. I'm doing it at my pace.
Yeah, good for you.
And I'm trying to handle what I can physically and emotionally absorb. And that's taken a little bit longer than some people think.
Definitely.
But I'm okay with that.
Were you ever given a reason why she left?
I was given a reason, and that's included in the book. It explains
Okay.
why she had to do what she did.
Okay. So you have an episode of depression that a lot of us go through. We have our days of feeling depressed. Doesn't mean you're depressed.
Yeah.
But you have your days of feeling depressed or down. And then I guess you hit rock bottom that you're like, okay, this is the only outlet that I have. So did you admit yourself or did something happen?
I was seriously thinking about attempting suicide,
Okay.
and I had the means because I was a police officer.
Oh, okay.
So I did what I knew that I did at work. I just picked up the phone and I called the ambulance. I said, I'm depressed and I need some help. And, you know, now you're a police officer, so you're not getting one ambulance, you're getting like the whole cavalry of police and everything. So it was a production
Yeah.
that night. But yeah, I mean, because bipolar, there's two spectrums. You think, okay, well, she's depressed. You never see the other side. The other side is I'm super active and I feel great and I haven't slept in a week. And that was great for my job because there was times when I was working crazy, but sometimes I contributed most of that to my job. Okay, well, I was a cop and I was, you know, I'm depressed because of the things I saw.
Right.
You know, my schedule sucks and sleeping because of my schedule at work. But
Well, I'm sure that doesn't help either.
no.
Right.
But when that was stripped away, that was still that person. And I needed to really figure out how I'm going to live the rest of my life like this and be healthy and functional mom. You know, one day I'll get married again. You know, I needed to be the best person I can be for everybody in my life.
Do you feel that you're the reason that the marriage did not work?
I know there was a lot of contributing factors,
Okay.
but I really, yeah.
And where does the bipolarness stem from? Is that
My dad had it.
okay?
It wasn't it wasn't diagnosed, but now looking back, understanding it
Well,
from my point of view,
times
I
were
know
different
he
too.
had it.
Yeah.
And it's genetic, and
Yeah.
you know, they say there's some triggers with life, and I think towards my teens, you know, I did some drinking and stuff like that, and that could snap you into a manic episode, which I had a lot of.
Right.
And then, but I didn't really notice it until depression hit, and I was in the room for weeks, and I wasn't eating, and I didn't want to deal with anybody.
Yeah. Are you feeling better today?
Yeah, I'm awesome today.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, I just had it when you said you were a police officer. Do you think a lot of police officers are dealing with this type of
Yes,
illness?
that's
and that's
why-
why there's so much killing and aggressiveness and all of that bad stuff.
In regards to the public, like conflict between the public and police,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's stemming from lack of training to just people's prejudiced views on
Okay.
where they're put, where they're placed, and their
So
upbringing,
basically
their
it's
own
black and
personal
white.
upbringing.
Okay.
But if mental illness is a part of it, because I never felt aggressive towards
Okay.
anybody. I had the opposite. I had so much empathy that it would break my heart to see, you
Right.
know, people going into the ambulance depressed and this guy trying to kill himself. That would totally rip me apart. So that's something else that's going on. I don't know what's going on.
Are they doing any mental illness evaluations to become a police officer?
Yes, and I was good at that point.
Okay.
But midway through,
it.
the stress and life
Okay.
and, you know, just
Okay. Sexual abuse happened at what age?
My earliest memories.
By your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Is he still alive now?
No.
Were you ever living with him? What was your living situation when you were young?
So he lived.
He was present.
Yep. We lived as a family. My parents were married. My mom did not know.
Wow.
You know, it was hidden. It was just something that you knew you just were not allowed to talk about. And
were you fearful of him? Was it something that you were scared to go home to? Like, how
Yeah.
was your everyday life being there?
a lot of fear, I think, a lot of stress and anxiety about,
course.
you know, having to go home and,
Yeah.
and wanting not to go home. And so I think to the outside, there was a different kid that everyone else saw. And I think as I got older, some of my behaviors kind of manifested from my experiences. So, you know, I was much more willing to fight or even, you know, or just abandon relationships. And just because I think when you live in trauma, and you see it with animals in the shelter, you see it with people, you get used to having to survive all the time. So you're always in this kind of
mode.
always. And it was about, so you didn't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You're just getting through the day. And then when it ends and the abuse ends, it's not just a matter of, so it's over, everything's good now. Then you go into your life and you start having your own emotional experiences. And, I would have flashbacks and just memories that would kind of pop up that that would be real. And it would just kind of trigger different feelings. And it was really hard.
How many years did it go on for? Like, when was the day that it stopped?
When I was 15.
Did it take a threat? Did it take a situation?
Yeah, I ran away from home.
Okay, so you escaped your own reality.
Yeah.
And you guys, your family was very tight-knitted? Was it like happy-dory family type of thing?
Yeah, I think, I'm the oldest of 4. We all love each other very much. But I think we all struggled separately with things, and we didn't even talk about it with each other, really.
So it was something that was across the board with his children? It wasn't just you, or like he did?
Yeah, I wouldn't tell their story, but I think that, we haven't talked about it a lot, but
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you forgiven?
So, no.
Okay.
I think my journey is about acceptance more than forgiveness, and I don't think that I would ever get to that point, and I don't think that I owe it to him.
No.
And so I think that's something too, so often we talk about forgiveness, like, did you forgive this person, as if it's our obligation.
Right.
And I don't have that obligation. I don't feel that I owe him that, and I don't think that he deserves it. And so I kind of just made peace with it. I don't want to allow it to continue to kind of consume me and make me into someone I don't want to be, and I don't want to give him that power in my life. But I also don't think he deserves any more of my time at all. So.
And there's no communication with you and him?
He passed away now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
So you kind of just buried that with him then?
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy because your father is supposed to be the first man in your life that shows you love, protection, that you adore.
Absolutely.
Like I told her in the last show, sometimes you're even infatuated with the father. Like, I'm in love with my dad, like he's like everything to me. I couldn't even imagine that this person that you're supposed to feel safe with and you're not, and he's actually the one that's doing that to you.
Yeah.
How do you go on in your life and actually love a man and trust a man to, you know what I mean? Like that leads. I can't even imagine, and I'm glad that you did find love and that you have 4 beautiful children, and I pray that he is making you.
It was not an easy road.
No, it's not.
And there's a lot of bad decisions along
I'm
the
sure
way.
there is, and I'm sure he goes through it with you, and it's like, oh my God, because sometimes it's a lot for another person to bear. But God is on your side. That's all I have to say.
Yes.
All right, we got to keep it moving. I don't know if we can get to any fun stuff because you guys got stories.
Emotional.
Yeah,
This is heavy.
we're here. I hope we were still enjoying our time, regardless.
Yes.
So we have abuse in the home.
Yes.
Mommy was abused.
Mommy was abused.
And you saw it happening.
Every bit of it.
Okay. Where does she stand now?
My mom is so strong.
They usually are.
Yeah.
That's why you get so mad at them.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
But it's like they have like this. They're just consumed with whatever like is over them.
It was fear. It was fear. She was afraid of leaving the situation.
Why?
To this day, I don't know the why.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of whys, but yeah.
When she finally decided to leave, it was, she had her moment.
Okay.
And it was hearing her oldest son saying, if something happens to my mom again, something's going to happen to him.
Okay.
So it was either her son and her brother or my father. So she had to make a decision. It was a tough one, but she had to do it.
Now bringing this into your own life, were you in an abusive relationship or you were the one that was abusing?
So,
because that when you said
this is interesting, yes, because there's 2 parts of it. Women can be abusers as well.
Oh yeah.
Verbally, I was abused.
Yep. Okay.
I was verbally abused, and in return, I became abusive. So
Physically?
physically abusive.
Okay.
So I had to look back at that, and I'm raising 2 children. So I'm like, okay, this reflection, I had to reflect back and
check
just like,
yourself and get in
yes, check
line.
myself completely and
Right.
just say, I don't like who I am right now.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I did. I had to look at myself in that mirror, and that mirror was ugly. At that point, it was extremely ugly. So I had decided to leave that situation. And what woke me up was having an argument with him at one point, and my son was sleeping. And he woke up out of nowhere and said, Mommy, you don't like Daddy very much.
Oh.
And it brought me back to me being young and sleeping and hearing my parents argue. That's how it started.
Right, right.
You know, so I was like, he's listening.
Oh, yeah.
He's listening.
Definitely.
And
he's a boy, too.
And he was a boy.
Yeah.
And I have a son and I have a daughter. And I'm like, I'm trying to raise my daughter to be a strong young woman, independent. And I'm trying to raise my son to be a respectful young man.
Right.
And I just had to get out of that situation.
Was it a mutual agreement to do so?
No,
Okay.
he didn't want to leave. I mean,
Also, he
didn't want the
He
separation.
was entertaining all of this.
He was okay with it. I mean, I put up a facade that I was happy. So he had no idea how unhappy I was. There was many days where I cried right next to him, and he didn't even know I was crying.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
And it doesn't feel good when you hit someone that you love.
No.
In that moment, you're in a rage.
It doesn't.
You're feeling a certain way, but then
It doesn't.
At the end of the night, there's like this awkwardness.
I had to reflect that I became my father.
That silence. Yeah.
I became my father, and I was like,
exactly.
no, I didn't want to do that.
Do you see, to be honest, as a parent, do you see any of this in your children when they get upset?
No.
Okay.
Thank God.
Good stuff.
No.
What's up?
What's up?
Dependency. So, what happened with the whole?
I had to
How did we start this pornography situation?
very, very young, 4 years old. And then, the brain is such a sponge at that age.
Yeah.
And you absorb so much.
And don't get it wrong. I think we're probably all in the same. Well, I'm probably a little older, maybe. I don't know, but I think we're all in the same age bracket. There was times I would come across people's magazines around the 80s, Playboy or whatever. We're not talking about that, But when it comes to visual watching, I mean, as kids, we experience, we want to see.
Yeah.
You have to
inquisitive,
learn.
you're
Very
inquisitive,
You want to see what type of gender you like. That's all self-discovery.
Yeah, and then you also want to do, and you want to
Right.
practice it.
But then it becomes a situation after there's a thin line, right?
Yeah, and then as an adolescent, you become to practice what you saw, and then as I got older, then you don't see that as a very good thing, and then you just want to not think about it. So then you start drinking and
Numbing yourself.
Yeah, numbing myself, and
Which makes you do more sexual things
Correct.
because your hormones are going crazy. Right? I mean, let's be real, right?
and I passing out drunk, passing out high.
Yeah.
Not really knowing where I was. Not really know how I made it home. Not really know, nothing.
Blanking out.
Yeah, blanking out. Because you really want to it's so much. It's heavy.
Yeah.
So you really want to delete it out of your mind.
And you don't have to answer or not, but was there any at home? Was there any situations going on, or were you just very curious and saw something you were not supposed to like, but you did like? How did that all start?
Out of respect for my parents, I'd rather not say.
Okay.
But they, there's also the divorce and the whole sense of abandonment, and I felt rejected by both of them.
Okay.
And that triggered a lot, and taking some responsibilities as well. My sister lives with me now, so she moved from Dominican Republic. So that the whole thing sort of reminded me, okay, so now I have to be responsible for this person, and is a little bit of that. So, and I also thinking of her, but then she also saw me when I was started, smoking and drinking. So kind of that sort of made me feel even worse because I'm like, what kind of example I'm putting for her?
Yeah. So now our dependency is on the Lord.
Yes.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's great, and it's great to see me as He sees me. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing because I saw myself as unworthy. trash. I was I was not worthy of anything, unlovable. And then when you start seeing, but hey, this doesn't define me. I can change this, and he can help me through his power. I can do it, and be able to see me as he sees me, worthy, lovable, wonderful. Able to do many things. I used to think, I love painting and I love art. I'm a daughter of two artists. My father's a musician, and my mother is a children entertainer, and my sister is a dancer. So there's a lot of art, and I thought that by getting high or drunk, my artistic skills were enhanced.
That's not for everyone.
Yeah, I thought I was Bob Marley.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, and in reality, was making me very lazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get up. You hang over at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You
Days
just want
are gone.
some, sunglasses and Advil.
Yeah.
That's all you want.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
And you? Yes. Was it just a situation that you weren't ready to deal with? Was it medical?
It was medical.
Okay.
But it wasn't an easy decision, but then it was. And I don't know if that's something that people are going to just be like, what?
Well, because
How
maybe
can you say that?
maybe because it was medical reasons, so
Right.
it left you with really no choice, perhaps?
Right, but when you read about the medical reasons in the book, then you're gonna say, well, maybe she could have, or maybe she could have just kind of waited, or
Yeah.
But that was my choice. That was that moment for me that I couldn't bear with. If other things happened in the time, what if it doesn't go through? And I have a miscarriage. I don't think I can bear to see a fetus. I don't think I could see that. I'm sorry.
Understood.
It's just, I can't. And, you hear these stories. You hear these women they've gone through this. They go to the ER. I actually had a close friend that went through that. And she was in the ER. She had a miscarriage. And she was there left until she was seen by a doctor. Because it's the ER is what happens.
Wow.
And she's there for hours, like in pain, and they
Yeah.
said, well, you gotta wait. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do this. I'm sorry. And so for me, it was just a decision that I made. It was before Christmas.
Wow.
And that was my Christmas, drinking and partying just to kind of like forget it. And I said, once I do this, I'm gonna have my first margarita. I remember that day, like I never forget it. That's like my favorite drink, and it's like I wanted to have that so bad, and I don't know if it was like the bad side or you battle with the bad and the good,
Right, all the time.
and I have Christian beliefs, and so when the battle comes to my mind is, okay, this is frowned upon.
Right.
In church, my father, he's not a believer of this.
Wow.
My mom and my whole entire family. And I think all I've heard when I've learned about abortion is really through my friends, because they've gone through it and they're liberals, let's say, if you want to say that, or their belief systems are a little different, or their mindset is different. So I said, I need to be strong for myself, and I need to stand up for myself. And so when I made the decision along with my husband, he said, it is your body. You are the one that's going through it. I'm only hearing what you're saying. I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to help you cope with it. But at the end of the day, you're the one that has to go through the whole process. And so when he respected that, oh my God, I felt so relieved.
Of course.
Because when you don't have that support,
Yeah.
it just gets harder for you.
Yeah.
And I think I would have been in more guilt than what I ever was. And when he supported me, I did what I had to do. He was there from like the top of the morning all the way till like I got home, and we just kind of like forgot about it a little bit.
Yeah, it's not something that should be relived.
Yeah.
But you should have some type of acceptance and closure with it.
Yes.
And I'm not against it. Just don't use it as a method.
Absolutely.
But every woman should make their choice for whatever reason it is. I don't care what the reason is, because that's giving life
Yes.
You're the one who has to go through that. Nobody else. Even if you have the support. And if you don't want to have children, that's your choice too. You know, I'm dealing with a lot of that. I'm a certain age. I've decided not to have a baby. That's because I wanted that. Everything's all good. It may change, but right now I've made that decision, and I'm always asked that. What? Why? Your feet? No, we don't have. We are mothers by instinct anyway. That does not mean that I don't have mother instinct, but I don't need to be a mother to be a woman. So, you know, everybody has their choice. Everybody has their preference. I thank you for sharing your story. There's a lot of that going on.
Yes.
And it's trying to be prevented.
Yep.
And we cannot let that happen. Right? I think that's pretty good. Is everybody content with where they are in their life right now?
Absolutely.
I am for sure.
But everybody's still healing, right?
But healing
Yes.
is, you're always going to heal.
Every day.
You're always healing, and I think that that's what we want people to know is you're always going to heal. It could come when you're 50, it could come when you're 30, it could come when you're 20.
Right.
You're always healing. You're always
No
healing.
matter what.
No matter what. And nobody can save you. You have to heal yourself.
Exactly.
No marriage, no child, no title, no nothing.
And it's okay to not forgive, right?
It's okay.
Some
That's your
people say
choice.
if you don't forgive, then they have all this over you. No, I don't have to forgive you. I can accept it and move on. What? You feel like you have to forgive? It's
I
it's
honestly, for me, again, I don't judge anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own choice, and that's what makes everybody unique. And for my situation, I had to forgive and let go, because, you know, I may not be overly religious, but the Lord has forgiven us for so many things.
Right.
And that's the way that I operate. Not everybody feels that way. And if some people, it's so painful that it's not what they're going to do. Those cards are not stacked in their favor right now to do that. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And
yeah.
that's okay. You're not going to be judged.
Yeah.
Not everybody deserves forgiveness in other people's eyes, and that's your business.
Okay.
Can I chime in on that a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah. Let's interact a little bit. We got like 5 more minutes, so let's get a little laughter in here if we can.
Yes, like in the
You know,
panel.
it's crazy because I've been known to really practice forgiveness. Like, and you know, and I'm hearing you, and it's like sometimes, you know, I'm like thinking about me and what my situation has been in the past for many things that people have done to me that I've had to forgive. And people say, oh, you need to forgive and forget. That's how you really forgive people.
Yeah.
And I can truly tell you, when I forgive people, oh my God, I feel so free. I feel like, you know what, this person never did anything to me, because at the end of the day, something's gonna happen to them where they have to realize that what they have done is not good, and they have to forgive themselves for hurting others. And so I've been known to really you know, I've been told, even my husband tells me this, he's like, how can you forgive what this person did to you? And it's like, it's not easy.
It's not.
But I really, really mentally and emotionally put myself in that person's shoes. I can't put myself in your dad's shoes. I don't think I can ever do that.
Yeah.
But there has to be a reason why. Something is happening to him, or happened to him when he was doing that. It is so wrong what he did.
Yeah.
But something was mentally not there for him.
Definitely an illness that he had.
But you know what, though? I think in my case, the difference is he never apologized.
Right.
And there's a difference, I think, if someone, and sometimes you can forgive people that don't apologize.
Right, but if there's no sympathy or accountability,
Right.
how can I forgive you?
Right.
Because this is nothing to you.
Exactly.
Right. And so for me, I just didn't, I couldn't.
And I
didn't.
agree with that.
You know?
Agree with that. And I agree with you still being angry with him if you need to.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. But eventually you will have to let that go because he is no longer here. I believe in spirit. You do too. And you might have to just voice out what the hell you want to say to him.
So we'll
and
talk
he will
out.
hear you. You know, like whatever's
For your
gonna
own
help you.
healing,
Like,
absolutely.
maybe this is even a better time to let it go because now he's not there in front of your face and you could just vent off. He's listening. Trust me. All right?
I think it's just important for people to deal with it in the way that they feel best at the moment.
Yeah.
And over time, we mature and we encounter other people that may influence our decisions or our thoughts. So I think it's just best to go through the motions the best way that you feel
I agree.
it works for you. And if that means not forgiving at this moment, then that's just your way to
That's
do it.
right.
Or if it means forgiving right now, we just all have to decide what works best.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of She Heals. That's why I want to create that foundation because I want people to come in where they're at, meet them where they're at. You're broken, let's help you. Let's get you where you need to get to.
Exactly.
It's okay not to be okay. And
Yes.
I always
It
say
is.
that.
And I
that's
believe
the
in
beauty
being
of healing.
fearless. I have my fearless women shirt on.
I love. And your Yankee hat.
And my Yankee for the beat. They've been doing pretty good, I've been hearing. Really quickly, because we have like 2 minutes left, we got to close out. I want each of you to let the viewers know, look into the camera, you know. be good to our guests, because I know you guys have been very strong. Give out your social media real quick, or your IG handle. And since we've been talking about so much, I want to know like one thing that you love about yourself, whether it's physical, just one word, and then we're closing out.
Awesome.
You want to start?
So you can find me on IG under Isabel the author _.
And you changed it all up.
I changed it all up. I got
I'm claiming this author.
I got fancy. One thing that I love about myself is that I am very empathetic towards other people, and I love that.
Love that. Go ahead.
And I'm Audrey. You can find me on AD the author on Twitter, and I'm anazario.xo on Instagram. And I love my smile, and I try to smile more so that people can know how I feel on the inside.
Okay.
Even though my face doesn't always say it, but I'm smiling inside.
The eyes are very pretty too.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You can find me at Alyssa_Rivera 1144. That's Facebook and Instagram, same thing. I think I'm courageous.
Yes, you are. Don't think, you are.
Yeah.
Own it.
Lori Greco, and you can find me on Insta at Lori Rises. And I think my favorite quality would be that I'm resilient.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
I love that word.
I am Lola Cabasa, and you can find me on IG at Glassdove. And I think I resemble strength.
Okay. All right.
My name is Favela Rojas. You can find me on Facebook as Favela Rojas, and my Twitter is at Favela Rising. And my favorite part is gratitude. I learned to be grateful through
Okay.
life.
Nice.
Right, and again, Jasmine Garcia. You can find me on Instagram at Jazz, J-A-Z, not J-A-S, Garcia Fuentes. And my favorite thing about me is I think I could be a little corny. That I'm corny. Like my husband tells me all the time, you're just so corny and naive that it's just hilarious. And so I like that about me because I can make myself laugh, but also others that are around me.
I love it. And I'm The Essence. You can find me on Instagram, Miss The Essence 1, Facebook The Essence Romero, YouTube The Essence Romero, and email me, realladiesrealtalk@gmail.com. And what I love is that I get to have you beautiful ladies sit here on panel with me and get the strength and the experience and just all the knowledge that I need from my own stuff that we all go through. And thank you once again for being vulnerable and transparent. I would love to have you guys back when the book is actually out. Maybe we can read certain things from it, maybe, and have a little bit more fun, you know, because that's going to be an exciting time. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in and trusting me once again with this panel and this broadcasting. Check us out each and every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Or you better get in line with the Essence Show.
We are the collaborators from She Heals, and we are at the Essence Show. Get in line!
Running the world one day 6:30. Let's have a good time. Get in line, free your mind. Let the music help you celebrate life. Get in line, keep it real. Get empowered and inspired to feel. Get in line. Love the essence madly. Bright sky.